Hey, it's a Monday afternoon. Welcome on in to Lunch with Claibs and Joe here on claibsonline.com, powered by Ameren, Illinois, driven by Munganess St. Louis Acura, and sponsored by Ryan Kelly, the home loan expert. Find him online at thehomeloanexpert.com. And we're going to be talking a lot about Ryan Kelly today as they have the Keep Climbing Foundation fundraiser coming up on Wednesday and Thursday this week, coming up prior to his 7th annual climb for the kids. We'll talk about that throughout the entire show, and Mike and Ryan will get together hopefully later this week to tell you more about it as we roll on. I'm Joe Roderick, joined alongside by Mike Claiborne. Claibs, you got to be in a good mood today after a Cardinals sweep, as it probably makes the job a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, it does, for a lot of different reasons. The way they won the games, the way they ended the games. Cincinnati isn't playing well, so let's be clear on that. Let Arizona sweep them before they roll into St. Louis. But with that said, the Cardinals did the business they needed to do. We saw them win in different manners. The pitching continues to improve along the way. So with all those things working, you get Philadelphia in for 4. Philadelphia kind of trying to find their way. Like it seems like most of baseball, Joe, when you look at the standings, everybody's either 500 or below. There's very few teams that are really trying to get on a hot streak or try and run away with it other than the Dodgers. So in this case, just looking for consistency right now. And then you have the St. Louis Blues, a huge win on Saturday. I don't know. I know you were busy that day, but they were down 2-0 before you could go out and get a beer. I mean, it was bad.
Oh, no, I was home by that.
Okay.
Ryan O'Reilly took over.
Yeah.
And he, you can kind of look at one of those games. I know they're on life support right now.
Yeah, they are.
For a postseason bid. But when you have your captain go out there and put the team on his back and play the way that they did to come back and win that game, it's a huge victory, and they get back at it today.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough because they're going to be without Dunn and Parayko, and Krug is bummed up as well. We're going to find out what this hockey team is really made of. I know we say this on a regular basis, but, they're running out of time. They're running out of games. They're playing very good teams that also have something to play for. Now, the good thing about the Blues in Colorado's in. The only thing they're doing now is chasing Vegas to see who's going to have the best record in the division. But other than that, their desire isn't going to be as intensified as the Blues is going to be tonight. So we'll have to see if they come out and they get through the second period, which has been a bugaboo for them all season. But it should be fun tonight. I'm looking forward to it. And ironically, the Blues start at 6. We start at 6:40. So there'll be a lot of looking and listening going on around St. Louis.
Yeah, there will. As you mentioned, you didn't think I was back in. I was in Louisville this weekend for the Derby Festival mini marathon. Ran another half marathon there. That's also why I'm going bow tie.
I'm impressed with that. I like
it.
I should have thought about that.
It's Derby week, Claibs.
I know.
You know what? I didn't do a whole lot of research when I was there as the horses that are running this weekend. Have you looked into that? Are you a big horse racing guy?
I am, but I haven't gotten to it. Now, I have a good friend with the Cardinals that I will talk to today to get his thoughts on it. I learned horse racing at a very young age. I had a relative who was a big pony player. And he taught me how to read a racing form. And so all of a sudden I'm making bets at 16 years old. And obviously somebody else would go collect the money, but I did all right. There was one horse, and I have a good friend, Don Williams, he's a little older than me, but he remembers the same horse. It was a horse called Stormy Drive that used to run at Fairmount Park and was maybe as dominant of a horse as they ever had over there. And, you couldn't make a lot of money off of them, but you always could pick a winner with Stormy Drive. So I guess I've been following horses since I was 14, 15 years old, and been to the Derby a few times. And, as you brought it up, I started to think, man, should I try and go over there this weekend? Teams on the road, I can do my thing from there. But I don't know what the attendance situation is going to be like. And I'm sure it's at a premium just to get into where I like to sit. So maybe I'll just watch it on TV. But it is one of the things that I do pay close attention to when the race is on. And, I watch it like I've never seen a horse race before. But it should be fun this weekend. And I'll find out who my good friend Dan Farrell likes as far as who he picks as far as the favorite is concerned.
Yeah, I know. So I went to Churchill Downs on Saturday, and I could tell you it seemed like there were a lot more, I guess, gates, and there was a lot more spacing in place. It looked like it was crazier than I have ever seen it before. The week before the Derby, and that's about my fourth or fifth time being there. The week before the Derby, leading up to it, so. I know that they seem to have a lot more precautions in place, but I could also tell you that it doesn't seem like the city of Louisville, Kentucky, no real mask mandates there. So I don't know how they're balancing the two of them.
It's Kentucky,
yeah.
So let's just Kentucky, Mississippi, Arkansas, throw them all in the same hat, man. They probably bring up the rear on that kind of stuff, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. By the way,
have you ever been to any of the ballets over in Louisville?
No. What okay. the what?
The ballets, the clubs, the entertainment clubs.
No, I have not.
I had a buddy of mine over there. He used to run the one over there. I think he still does. And it's like standing room only to get. You would have thought that all these guys had just come home from the war or something, man. I mean, it's like filled to the gills over at that place.
I don't even know where they are there. I've been there. I mean, I've been there a handful of times. I couldn't even tell you where one of them was.
That's the way they like it. It's not like a Walgreens. It's not going to be on a corner or anything.
So it's not like walking up and down Bourbon Street where you just turn and there you can see inside the door.
If you can find it, you will be rewarded. Let's just put it that way, with good entertainment.
That was my fourth state that I knocked out. I'm doing state number 5 will be in 6 weeks. I'm going.
Now, you plan on doing 50 states, or how's this?
Yeah, I'm going to do all 50. I'm going to get all 50
over the course of how many years?
I don't know. I mean, see how long it takes me. I mean, some of these you think about it, I mean, some of these states are going to be harder to get than others. It's like I'm looking at what the hell is there to do in West Virginia? That's one of those where it's just going to be kind of a there and back in a day,
in and out
type. Yeah, just run it and go home, whatever type thing, and not really care about anything else. So that's just kind of how I'm looking at it. But no, I was back Saturday night. Yesterday was able to go to Busch Stadium. First time I've been at Busch Stadium since Game 2 of the 2019 NLCS. So it had been a year and a half since I had set foot inside Busch Stadium. And first off, I'm aware that the DeWitt family wants it to be 40,000 people there packing the stands when it's okay to do so. But it was very enjoyable to watch a game with only 14,000 people in the stand.
Somebody else said that to me as well. As we say hello to Jesse. How are you? Nice to see you. It's one of those things that it's a little quiet, but then they're active. But I think just the space you have is something I think people appreciate, and it's easy to get in and out of the ballpark too.
Yeah, it sure was. So they finished off the sweep yesterday. I know Daily Cards is up on the podcast sites right now, and I don't think anybody, I think outside of maybe Mike Schilt, I don't think there was anybody happier with Dylan Carlson being moved to the 2 slot than Bob Ramsey was this morning, especially for how it worked, because he's been banging that drum all year long to have Dylan Carlson bat second. I said at the start of the year that I thought Dylan Carlson should be leading off. As of right now, I mean, a month into the season, I have no problem with Tommy Edman leading off, and what he's done, that's fine with me as long as it's working. But Dylan Carlson in the 2 spot in that lineup was just, it could not have gone better this weekend.
No, you're right. I think you and I talked about this early in the calendar year. I know Rammer and I talked about it a few times about that being a good spot for him. And Mike Schilt tried it early in spring training, but it didn't work. He just wasn't ready. And now it seems like he's kind of improved himself, a little bit more confidence for sure, better pitch recognition. And they pitch to him differently because of who's hitting behind him. And the fact that Tommy Edman's on base and, he's a base stealing threat. So he's seeing a few more fastballs, and he's really taking advantage of it. So that probably is the best place for him. Yeah, I know he wanted to get all this thunder up in the first inning, but I don't have a problem with it. I don't. I know the only challenge you say is, man, you're going to have Arenado leading off some innings. That's going to happen from time to time.
But with the way,
but the
with the
question
way
is,
that
how
Tommy
often does that
Edman,
happen, though?
yeah, with the way Tommy Edman's been getting on base this season, and
Yeah.
now with the start and with the new lineup, the way Carlson's been getting on base, what do you have? Was he 7 for 11 this weekend?
Yeah,
I think, and so he's getting on base too. So Arenado's still getting up in that first inning.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point, and I think we'll see more of that. Now, the question is, and I was talking to Frank Cusimano today about the Tyler O'Neill and what happens with him. Bader's not far away. I was with him the other night, and he seems like he's almost ready to go into a rehab assignment. But the question is, are you going to look for a platoon situation between Bader, O'Neill, and Justin Williams, or is somebody going to take that spot? Is somebody going to take right field? Is somebody going to take left field? But I would think that you move Bader to center and Carlson will go to right. So you really have a left field spot that's going to be competed for between those two guys. Now, if Bader doesn't get off the schneid, you can always move Carlson back there. So I really look at what Mike Shilt's trying to do and just finding the hot guys, finding the right matchups. And that could be a luxury at some point, but they have to produce. We're at a point now with Bader and O'Neill that, Bader's he's got over 900 major league at bats, and O'Neill isn't far behind. And it's time for them to really step up and be the player we expect them to be.
And with all of that you're talking about, having that 4 outfielders to really at 3 outfielders for 2 spots that you're going to have coming up, one thing that's going to do is eliminate the need for Tommy Edman to have to play right field. Yeah. Thus eliminating the need for Matt Carpenter to be in that lineup anymore. And over the weekend, John Mozeliak met with the media on Friday as Tyler O'Neill was activated, and he was asked about Matt Carpenter and his struggles as his batting average is now down around .7070. And it's he basically said, he has about 2 weeks before the Cardinals are going to have to make a decision, because having him on the bench right now doesn't do anything for you. He struck out again yesterday in a pinch hit at bat. There's no reason to play him with the way Justin Williams has actually hit this year after starting off over, the way Tyler O'Neill's come back on. There's no place to play him. There's nobody to rest to put him in for. There's just no need to have him on the roster if he's not going to be able to perform in the pinch hitting role either.
No, you're absolutely right. And let's face it, Joe, Matt Carpenter's been given more than an ample opportunity to get this thing straightened out. Going back to spring training, Mike Shildt found a way to get him in the lineup 3-4 days a week. He's had him pinch hit quite a bit. He's given him every opportunity. And I agree. I think within the next 2 weeks, by the time you get to mid-May, you're going to have to move on, or he's going to have to step up, one of the two. And how you deal with that at that point, I think that'll be something that'll be challenging in one sense. And I spoke to John Mozeliak yesterday on KMOX about the same thing. And he's trying to be fair. And I think because of Carpenter's resume that he's built up as a good Cardinal, good teammate, guy who has produced in the past, but the past seems like it was eons ago. It's one of those issues for them now is to say, how do we distance ourselves from this? I've said to you, well, his back hasn't flared up on him yet. We've always had that annual concern. So, fingers crossed that he can get this turned around, although I am not of the great belief that it's going to happen anytime soon, and soon is all the time he has.
I'm looking at the schedule here. The first time that the Cardinals are going to have the option for a DH this year doesn't come until May 24th.
They go to Chicago to take on the White Sox.
Yeah, that's the 3-game series at Chicago. And then after that, it's not until the end of June 22nd at Detroit. So you don't have those opportunities to slide him in there in a DH role and get him the at-bats. You're taking at-bats away from guys who have gotten more than 3 hits so far this season.
Yeah, and the other thing is this. He's shown no real reason to justify him even being the DH.
Right. I'm just looking for opportunities. That's the thing. I'm just throwing out here for looking at opportunities for him right now, and I just don't see him.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen next. You want to see this thing be resolved, and you want to see it hopefully become a positive resolution. But If it doesn't, then you got to move on. I mean, the team comes first, and you can't win in Major League Baseball with 25 players. Okay, you got to have everybody that they allow you to have be able to contribute in one shape or one form or another, and that's not happening with him. But he's going to get some more opportunities. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's at this point. I mean, him being the first bat off the bench even seems like a stretch.
Yeah.
As you're better off throwing Sosa up there and letting him pinch hit instead. It's that's beginning. That's almost as questionable as putting him in the lineup now is giving him one of these at bats. So we'll see how it goes. I do want to talk a little bit about Jack Flaherty as he improves to 4-0 on the season yesterday. Had really, really good stuff most of the game, but had one ball get away from him. Now, I couldn't hear what you guys were talking about on the broadcast. I couldn't hear what Danny Mac was talking about on the TV side of things, but he hits Jonathan India in the face with that pitch. Not intentional. It wasn't intentional. It was a pitch that got away, but both sides had been warned prior to the game due to all the altercations that have happened in the season so far. I don't think I've ever seen a player get hit in the head and then his manager get ejected for that.
His manager was upset because they didn't have a chance to respond. And again, I thought it was an accident. I mean, but he hit him right in the logo in the helmet. And then
you saw the way Flaherty reacted as soon as he hit it. I mean, he turned away. He didn't want to look because he knew he just hit a guy damn near in the eye socket.
And the other thing is, if you start throwing at guys, it's this is a game with a lot of unwritten rules. And one of the unwritten rules, you don't go head hunting. If you want to send a message, you can hit them in the ribs, you can hit them in the elbow, you can hit them in the butt, you can hit them anywhere, but the head or above the shoulders is off limits, which is why, that one got away from it. And plus, there's no history. I mean, Jonathan India, most people, if you ask him who is Jonathan India, they couldn't tell you.
That's
so it's not like, I mean, it's not like he's a household name. So for him to feel like somebody was picking on him, and I know he said, well, Woodford threw at him in Cincinnati. Well, Woodford's control wasn't great that day either. But I just think that we overblew this thing. And then David Bell, who is a feisty guy, felt like his team didn't have a chance to respond. But I will say this, though. I think Joe West did the right thing in convening with his umpires and saying, hey, look, how did you see this? What are you hearing? You got umpires on the bases and maybe somebody's yapping. Should we nip this in the bud now and make sure nobody else gets hurt or gets thrown out of a game, or should we just let it go on? And I thought it was the right thing to do. Now, if you're Cincinnati, you're upset. But here's my response to that. There are other games on the schedule. If you feel like you were wrong today, there's some other games on the schedule that if you feel like you want to retaliate, then you'll have your opportunity. I think if you're playing Philadelphia and it's the last day of getaway day and you've had some throwing going on, then maybe I'd be even more upset. But I think Cincinnati's got too many opportunities in the future not to be able to respond if they thought this was on purpose.
And then from there on, it also, it continued on when Jack Flaherty threw over to first base. India had a big lead. He had a big lead.
Yeah.
And Flaherty throws over to check on him. And India continues to keep jaw-jacking at Flaherty over that. I didn't understand the reason for that either. I mean, he took a big lead. You're going to have a throw over when that happens. So I didn't understand that part either. At that point, India, he's a rookie. He needs to let it go. He needs to let somebody else take care of it. Let Votto take care of it. Let Castellanos take care of it. He doesn't need to be in the middle of it. And then on top of that, this is the first of two questionable decisions the Reds management made, in my eyes. They took him out of the game after he ran the bases. So if the Reds thought there was some sort of concussion protocol that they needed to check in on him with, he never should have been running the bases. So to take him out after that, I thought was really a questionable move on their part if they thought there was something wrong with him, because that's just poor management on their side to do it that way.
Did they take him out because of that, or did they take him out because they didn't want him to flip his wig? Because he was the one doing all the barking, okay? I think it was one more that, hey, kid, settle down. We'll deal with it. I don't know if it had as much to do with the concussion
Okay.
or the potential of a concussion. I just think they were protecting him from himself.
And that very well could have, yeah. And that very well could have been that. The other questionable move, and Rammer and I talk about it at length on Daily Cards. I didn't understand bringing Sean Doolittle in to face right-handed Dylan Carlson, right-handed Paul Goldschmidt, and right-handed Nolan Arenado.
You know what? He's had some decent success. And, he hadn't pitched in 4 or 5 days. And I think they just wanted to get him some work.
They should have chose somebody else to have him work against because those were some hard hit balls.
Yeah, if you've seen Cincinnati's bullpen, it's not as deep as some may think. They've had a couple of injuries, a couple of guys haven't performed to the expectation. So I think it was more of them just trying to get him some work this week. I mean, think about Amir Garrett came in a game yesterday or the day before. Game was a little closer, but he came in a little earlier. So in some cases, especially at this time of the year, you want guys to be in some sort of consistent pattern of making sure they get enough work in. So when they do come in, when the games are closer, they're not throwing things that are flat. And they can find their control a lot better.
This is Daily Cards as the card, or not. This is Lunch with Claibs and Joe. See, I'm doing too many damn shows in a day, so I'm going to start.
I know your feeling.
I don't record Weekend Joe until Wednesday, so I'm good on that one. I at least know what day of the week it is. But hey, we're sponsored by this man, Ryan Kelly.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly. The real estate market is on fire and homes are selling fast. Don't lose the home of your dreams. Be sure you're working with the experts. Get pre-approved today at thehomeloanexpert.com.
Hey, Joe, before we go any further, let's remind our viewers and listeners about the big event Ryan's got going on this week and see if we can get some people involved for a very worthy cause.
Yeah, the home loan expert, Ryan Kelly, has launched or will be launching this Wednesday the Keep Climbing Foundation. We've talked with Ryan about it before. We've teased it with him before. It's his first initiative and major fundraiser, Climb for the Kids. It's underway. And this Wednesday, they'll have a large radio telethon planned in the St. Louis metropolitan area. All day Wednesday, all day Thursday. Climb for the Kids was started in 2015 by Ryan Kelly, the founder of the home loan expert. And this will be the 7th annual Climb for the Kids, but it's the first one under the foundation. The foundation has set an ambitious goal to raise more funds and awareness than in any previous year, all with Denali, the highest mountain peak in North America, as the backdrop. This year, the summit isn't the finish line, says Ryan. It's the but with the foundation, it's just the beginning. He's planning the climb May 15th through the 21st in the Alaska Range on the Kalinta Glacier. You know, how good are you with geography there, Claibs?
I'm very good at it, but I'm not familiar with that particular glacier.
All right. Well, I think you and Ryan will be talking later this week, so you and him can talk more about the climb coming up again. But it is for the Keep Climbing Foundation. That is the Keep Climbing Foundation part of the Ryan Kelly Home Loan Expert family now. More information can be online at keepclimbingfoundation.org. Again, the telethon will be Wednesday and Thursday of this week. So we talked all Cardinal stuff. Phillies are in town. 4-game series starting tonight. 6:45 is the start time, first pitch for tonight's game. Did want to talk more about what happened in Major League Baseball this weekend. You talked about the unwritten rules and some of the ridiculous ones there. How about what happened with the Arizona Diamondbacks yesterday? Madison Bumgarner in the second game of a doubleheader throws a no-hitter through 7 innings, and now Major League Baseball and the Elias Sports Bureau are discussing whether or not that should be counted as an official no-hitter. It's if he threw a one-hitter, it would be a one-hitter.
Yeah.
If he got knocked out in the first inning, his ERA would count the same. He threw a no-hitter. He started the game. He threw all the innings of the game. They won. No hits allowed. It's a no-hitter. Madison Bumgarner threw a no-hitter yesterday.
I agree. They thought this was a good idea, and I do too, the 7-inning doubleheader. But that's the risk you run with something like that taking place. I don't have a problem with it. You may get some purists that feel like, no, you got to do a hard 9. I get that. And, they changed that rule about 30 years ago. It was a pitcher, David Palmer, who pitched in St. Louis and pitched 5 innings of no-hit baseball. And then the rains came, and it was an official game at that point, and it was a no-hitter, so to say. And then baseball stepped in and said, I forgot how the rule works now, but these things have been presented before, but not very often. But I have no problem with what's going on. If they want to give it to them, that's fine with me.
I mean, how many pitchers have lost no hitters in the 10th inning of a game? They did that. The 9 innings, it wasn't counted as a no hitter.
Yeah,
they didn't, just because they finished 9 innings no hit ball and lost it in the 10th. They don't get no credit as a no hitter. So it should be the same way.
We'll never see a pitcher pitched into the 10th inning in our lifetime. That's never going to happen again. I
feel like La Russa's back managing in baseball again. I think it'll happen.
Not going to happen. No, sir. Nope. I was talking to a manager last week about the fact that pitchers don't go deep anymore. He said, "Well, the agents call. They'll call the GM. What are you doing to my guy? What do you have him doing pitching 120 pitches or 110 pitches? Or why do you think you have to take him to the 8th or 9th inning?" The agents have a significant impact in protecting their players, and it's just really hard to do right now unless you come out like if you're Jacob deGrom, you keep a low pitch count, something like that, you might be able to get away with it. But in a lot of cases, it's just not going to happen. So I don't think I'll ever see another pitcher pitch into the 10th inning.
He strikes out too many guys. Yeah, he strikes out too many guys.
He's something, man. He's something to watch.
But yeah, the pitch count. I don't. I haven't looked up enough ahead at pitching rotations, but I know the Cardinals go there in early May, right? Or they play the Mets. They come here. Yeah. God, I hope they miss him.
Well, you know what? Yes and no. I like watching guys who are masterful.
Watch it on MLB TV. You don't want to call it.
Because here's the thing: good pitchers work quick, which means the games go quick. Just like Saturday, John Gant pitched a really good game. We had a 2-hour and 20-minute rain delay, a 2-hour and 33-minute game. All right, we were looking around at each other like, "Wow!" So the night isn't shot. So I like guys who work quick. I like guys who are effective. And you're right. Maybe I'd like to see deGrom, on TV compared to watching him come to Busch Stadium and put on a clinic.
All right, so tell me your thoughts on Trevor Bauer before we get into Fernando Tatis Jr.'s weekend.
He's just a guy looking for attention.
He's not worth what he's getting paid. He is not worth whatever $40 million a year that he thinks he's getting or he should be getting.
He was available. I really look at those situations where just because you're a free agent doesn't mean you're a Hall of Famer, is what I always say. And you're going to make a lot of money because of your date of birth and the time you had a chance to become a free agent. And you're right. There are a lot of guys that are overpaid because they're free agents. And that's just the nature of the beast, because maybe the supply wasn't as plentiful for other pitchers. And everybody thought he was the best guy. He's coming off a Cy Young winning season. So he probably warrants that sort of attention. But remember this, Joe, they wouldn't pay him $40 million if they couldn't afford him.
Right.
So and I'm one of those people who believes that when they say, well, these athletes are making too much money. Well, wait a minute. What about the owner? He's making a lot of money too, because he signs the check and he's going to pay himself before he's paying a player.
So this weekend, Fernando Tatis Jr., first player in history to go to Dodger Stadium and hit 5 home runs in a series. He hit 2 on the game Friday, 22 years to the day that his dad hit 2 grand slams in 1 inning for the Cardinals. So that's real impressive that that they both did that. Then the next day, homers off Trevor Bauer in the game, and as he's running around the bases, put the hand up over the eye, mocking Trevor Bauer for saying that he's pitched, he was pitching games with one eye closed. And then he and Trevor Bauer go back and forth on social media. I don't know if you saw this, but somebody pointed out that maybe Fernando Tatis Jr. was kind of looking back at signs, looking at what the catcher was throwing down. Bauer said, "Hey, just let me know. I'll tell you what I'm throwing beforehand." And Fernando Tatis Jr. let him know that, I think it was a Photoshop picture of Trevor Bauer as a baby in the arms of Fernando Tatis Jr., letting him know who his daddy was. And then last night, again, Fernando Tatis Jr. homers in Sunday Night Baseball. So quite a weekend. For him.
He's really, as we already know, he's a really good player. But I go back to Bauer. He's just a guy looking for attention. Yeah. And we're dealing with players today who are trying to get into that level of exposure whether it's social media followers or becoming a better marketer for themselves. And they're going to say and do things that are going to garner conversation and interest in other people from other people. So in his case, it's part of his act. I don't have a problem. I don't really care. I do care about one thing. When the Dodgers play and the Padres play, we don't have 4 or 5 hours every game. Okay. And the Dodgers or the New York Yankees or the National League, it takes forever for them to play a game. And that's what I think hurts the game. You don't have that kind of time to go back and forth. Now, last night was a little different because you had extra innings. But if you looked at the 7th inning, they were already almost 3 hours in. And it's just they got to figure something out here. I mean, this is just I think it hurts the game more than anything else is the length that it takes to play a 9-inning game.
Yeah, the before we get off of all baseball stuff, did you have a chance to read the Tom Verducci's article on Jay Bruce?
I did.
I don't understand why we are protecting players like that and thinking that the shift is something that needs to be banned for that. So blaming the shift in baseball on Jay Bruce's sudden retirement. No, the shift did not end Jay Bruce's career.
Jay Bruce's inability to go the other way and
yes.
His inability to adjust
is the
reason why he retired.
Yeah, it's the same reason why Matt Carpenter has lost his job. The failure to adapt to the game it's saying that it's unfair that the players are shifting. You know what? If a player can't hit a curveball, are we going to start saying that pitchers can't throw curveballs anymore? That they just need to throw 95 miles an hour down the middle and let the guy hit it? It's ridiculous that we are blaming managers, front offices, realizing, hey, this player's only hitting the ball right here. Let's put 4 guys there and play defense. It's just absurd to sit here and lay blame on metrics and defensive shifts for why someone like Jay Bruce can't play baseball anymore.
I think there'll be some sort of adjustment down the road. But I also think the players have to learn how to adjust as well. And I like Jay Bruce. I thought Jay Bruce would have been a great Cardinal. But some guys just can't change their ways. And to his credit, he said, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm out. Okay. You may be having company here fairly soon because there's a few other guys that are having that same sort of difficulty. And, that's just the nature of the beast. And, we always find ways to adjust and change in any sport. And when you elect not to, there's a price to pay for it.
Yeah. Hey, this is Lunch with Claibs and Joe here on claibsonline.com. We are powered by Ameren, Illinois.
Hey, Matt Minster here with my trusty assistant. Sorry.
I'm Suzanne, the Magnificent, and this is my trusty assistant, Matt.
That's right. And we're here with easy tips that can save you energy and money.
Like magic.
Adjusting your thermostat 7 to 10 degrees for 8 hours a day can save you up to 10% a year. And a smart thermostat can change the temperature automatically.
Abra Adjusto.
Impressive.
There's more where that came from.
LED light bulbs use up to 80% less energy and can last 25 times longer than regular light bulbs.
Ooh. Ah.
And using timed outlets can help you save even more energy.
Tickety-tockety-two.
Or try a smart plug. Now these cool devices sync with your smartphone so that you can manage your energy
Ta-da!
with the touch of a finger. Hey, you're pretty good at that.
Thanks. Want to see another trick?
Of course.
Energy savings made easy.
Find more tips at AmerenIllinois.com/savings made easy.
Lunch with Claibs and Joe, powered by Ameren, Illinois, driven by Munganess St. Louis Acura, and sponsored by Ryan Kelly, the home loan expert. Find him online at thehomeloanexpert.com. And as we've also talked about, the Keep Climbing Foundation will have their first initiative and major fundraiser coming up Wednesday and Thursday of this week. all throughout the radio stations in the St. Louis area. So you know, if you listen to the radio, you know which shows and which stations Ryan Kelly is a part of. So you'll know where to help out with the fundraiser coming up on Wednesday and Thursday. And we'll have plenty of that over at claibsonline.com and all of our social media pages too. So be on the lookout for that and help out with another great cause by the home loan expert, Ryan Kelly. Claibs, the NFL draft is this week. It's in Cleveland. Last week, I had Chris Rose from the NFL Network, and now with the Rose rotation, had him on Weekend Joe, and we talked a little bit about the NFL draft coming up this week. Is that something? I mean, I know you guys have an afternoon game Thursday, right? Before,
yes,
so you guys you'll be able to pay attention to it and watch it.
It'll be on. I don't know how much I'm going to pay attention to it.
That's one of those where now without St. Louis having a team, I might have it on the background, but it's mostly one of those I'll follow on social media. But the amount of quarterbacks that are being talked about going in the first round, you could get 5 or 6 quarterbacks going to teams that I don't know, 5 or 6 teams that need these rookie quarterbacks. I mean, at number 3, the 49ers look like they're going to take Trey Lance or Mac Jones at number 3. I don't know why they're giving up so early on Jimmy Garoppolo.
I think for 2 reasons. I'm not sure if they're giving up, but I think they want to make sure they have protection. We saw last year where when Garoppolo was injured, they ran out everybody short of, Joe Montana as far as guys they were trying to find to play. In that situation, you probably want to develop somebody. And along with this, Garoppolo is going to have a cap number here pretty soon. It's going to cost them a lot of money, and they're going to have to make a decision. And they want to make sure they have somebody in place so they're not stuck with a guy that's going to eat up a bunch of their cap. That's the first reason. I think the second reason is you have teams now that feel like they don't have to wait on a quarterback for 2 years or 3 years and hold a clipboard. We've seen some young players step in and account for themselves reasonably well. The quarterbacks of today are better prepared for the pro game. And with that said, they can get in the fire a little sooner. They're playing off their rookie contract. It's not going to kill them like it does, as we mentioned, with Garoppolo and some other guys that are out there. And every now and then you're going to have enough good ones that can actually play. I always kind of have fingers crossed with guys that we haven't seen on a regular basis. Like Trey Lance is a guy that I haven't seen enough of to tell you whether he can actually play or not. I know physically he passes the eye test. You also wonder about the competition level as well and how he's fared in that manner. But somebody must like him. And it only takes one. I always used to tell my clients, don't worry about the whole league. Just worry about one team, because all you need is one to draft you, and then you take it from there.
No, that's a good point. And the few of the wide receivers that are out there this year are with Devante Smith. I didn't realize, Chris Rose and I were talking about it. I didn't realize just how small of a guy he was.
Maybe 170 pounds.
And that's what we were. I think it's 174, Claibs. I think it's 174. And as a former agent, that those 4 pounds make a big difference to that player, and he's going to want every one of those 4 pounds.
Yeah, and some guys just can't put the muscle on. I mean, it's just just how it is. I mean, you got to remember he's Alabama, and Alabama's got as good of a weight program as anyone. But I think it depends on where you play him. I mean, is he a wide guy? Is he a slot guy? I mean, and again, it depends on what's around you when you get to that organization. He's a good player. Will that transcend into being a very good pro player? I think we're going to find out. But I think it depends on who else he's on the field with in order to see how effective he can be. And in some cases, that may affect his draft status on how high or how low a team elects to take him.
And big news is that Roger Goodell has been vaccinated and he can hug the players on Thursday, Claibs.
Yeah, I saw that, and I'm gonna move on to the next subject. I'm not a big Goodell fan, and I think because of Goodell and how the NFL has done business over the last few years, I've kind of soured on it anyway. Where I don't have the great interest that I once did. And he's probably at the forefront of that. Now, with that said, he did acknowledge that they maybe made a mistake in how they handled the Colin Kaepernick situation. So he did acknowledge it, and he's tried to be a little bit more outspoken and trying to be more transparent about where the NFL stands with regard to how things work in this country. So I give him a little credit for that, but I think all the other things, including how the Rams move took place, are things that are always going to leave a sour taste in your mouth.
Did you watch any of the UFC fights this weekend?
Unfortunately, I didn't. I was at an event for my good buddy Tim Peel, National Hockey League referee. His retirement officially went into play on Saturday, so we had a nice little event for him. So I did not see it. I've heard a lot about it. I heard about the gruesome injury. I saw one of the knockouts.
I've had two people try to send me the Wiseman injury, knowing damn well that I don't want to see it and never want to see it. But I've had a few people I've had two people send it to me, and I woke up Sunday morning to texts of links to that, and I knew better to not click on them. So I'm about 4 days in so far and haven't seen it yet.
Well,
and
good. You don't have to look back if you've gone this far.
Yeah, I'm fine with never ever seeing injuries
I'm
like that one.
Too. Yeah, I could take it or leave it.
But yeah, Masvidal. I mean, again, he gets he get knocked out by Usman, and it's he's. I don't think there's going to be a third fight between those two.
So here's a question for you, because I know you're an avid participant or follower. What's next for Dana White? I mean, he's got this gold mine. I mean, everybody they crave for it. But there's always a way, aside from having new fighters, because the shelf life for these guys is a very short one. What else can they do? I've always felt like they should have, and if they really wanted to hit home runs, and maybe they could tell you they don't need it, I think they should have 2 rings, one for boxing, one for UCF, and they would alternate bouts.
I mean, these celebrity boxing matches are becoming. I'm saying these are becoming more and more prevalent. But I don't think Dana White wants to turn his company into a circus. So I don't think that would be
it already
a case
is
for
one.
that. But I mean, you know what I'm saying, though. I mean, you have Floyd Mayweather about to box Jake Paul. That's a circus. There's no reason for that to happen. Right. Floyd Mayweather, that really ruins. I feel like even, no matter what, it ruins his legacy. You never saw Tyson. You never saw Ali stepping into you never saw Oscar De La Hoya stepping into a celebrity boxing match against somebody. I don't know what the YouTube equivalent would have been for somebody in the 90s, 70s, whatever.
Oh, Ali do it one time with
who would he have fought?
It was a Japanese wrestler.
Would have been a sumo wrestler?
No, I remember he kept kicking Ali, and gosh, you can look it up. He did it. But I understand your point. It's something that really kind of, I wouldn't say cheapens what they do, but it's something that probably isn't warranted, because Mayweather, he's got an undefeated career. He's just chasing another dollar, or just trying to make himself relevant. He won't fight any of the good young fighters that are out there today in his own sport. So to do this, I just don't see where there's real value, because, pretty soon Floyd Mayweather will be a thing of the past, where there'll be people say, who's he?
Yeah. So coming out and doing these fights makes him relevant to a younger crowd, but it doesn't do anything for his legacy. It doesn't do anything for.
No, you're right.
For his career. So I think Dana White, one thing he benefits from is, for the last year, he had no attendance, no fans. So you're just going to have people that are so hungry to travel and so hungry to go see these fights that for the next few, no matter who he puts on that card, if he holds these fights in Vegas, which Vegas is opening up and they're going to have 100% capacity by this summer for these UFC fights, he could put an event on every single week and he's going to sell it out.
Yeah.
So he has time. He can make money off of this, but he has time to maybe grow some new stars. I just don't know where you go from that, because the biggest names I just don't think are. There's nobody in UFC right now where if I see their name on a card, I'm going to go out of my way to go to a friend's house or go to a bar to go watch it.
No, I think you're spot on. And that's why I don't think you can do it every month. I think you have to let this percolate and let these guys develop and ladies develop and let them draw and create a name outside the ring where you do want to go see them. And I don't want to say you have to be too anecdote driven, but you've got to find some ways to reach out to people who are, you're going to have one group of people who are going to follow you no matter what. We already have them. You want to grow your brand by getting other people involved and saying, who is this guy? Or what does he do? And yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him get his block knocked off. And Conor McGregor was that guy. Conor McGregor was a guy that found his niche and was able to take it. And obviously he had to deal with Floyd Mayweather, made enough money off of that where he didn't have to fight anymore. But I look at those sort of scenarios where you're going to have to find guys who can cross the street and create some added value in a market that they may not be, or people may not be as familiar with.
What do you have coming up this week?
It's a great question. We're getting through some Cardinal baseball. We're going to hopefully visit with Chris Landry and talk some pro football as far as the draft is concerned. Alex Ferrario will be on tomorrow morning. We'll do something with him tomorrow and talk some hockey. And as I always say to Frank Cusimano, you just never know what we may have up our sleeve as we get closer to the week.
I know the Phillies broadcasters aren't traveling, but no. when a team like the Phillies comes into town, who are some? Is there anybody you're trying to get on the pregame show? Philly related?
If they were traveling, it'd be somebody like a John Kruk. Tom McCarthy's a really good broadcaster for them. They got some other new guys that they tried to bring in. So, and that's the one thing I miss because we always loved talking to those guys. When Gary Matthews was there, he was one of our favorites. So that's something hopefully we can get back to here before too long. But in the meantime, you just kind of look around and just try and find different people. And so, which reminds me, I've got to put together a couple of other pregame shows this week because when Mike Shannon does games, we have another pregame show segment that we run. But when he doesn't, then it's up to me to find somebody else. And I'll be on that tomorrow.
I already have 2 interviews booked for Weekend Joe this week. One of them is the former wrestler, the WWE Hall of Famer Jeff Jarrett, who is starting a new podcast next week. He's had quite a life wrestling just from, a kid. His dad was a promoter. We're going to talk to him. But one I'm really excited about, too. The author Timothy Malcolm, who has a book coming out this week called Moon Baseball Road Trips, claims it's the complete guide to all ballparks with beer bites and sites nearby. So if you are planning a road trip to go see some baseball games this year at some parks you haven't been to, which I'm actually planning on doing a few this year, you can find out where to go eat, where to go, what to go see while you're in those towns too. And I'll have Timothy Malcolm on to talk about those coming up. One, hey, I know, yeah.
I was just going to say, I'm just reading Bob Nightingale says that the GM in Colorado is out. I don't know why we waited that long. And, here's a team that just blew out Philadelphia yesterday, but they're in the bottom of their division. But, maybe we can hire him here just, for what he did for the Cardinals.
He helped bring a really good player here, so we can thank him for that with that. So, all right. So you said that's all over Twitter right now. The firing of the Rockies GM.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have that coming up. We have everything we just mentioned to you coming up this week. Again, Ryan Kelly, the new Keep Climbing Foundation, keepclimbingfoundation.org, as they have their radio telethon fundraiser going on this Wednesday and Thursday. Check it out and help donate what you can to the home loan expert. Also, hey, we're driven by Munganess St. Louis Acura. That car that I bought from Munganess St. Louis Acura helped get me back to and from Louisville and all other trips, road trips that I have planned this weekend. It was nice to finally get on the road and have a Munganess road trip, something I was not able to do all of 2020. So going to start putting the miles on those Munganess cars coming up over the next several weeks, or I guess next several months of the summer season. We thank them for their sponsorship of us as well. He's Mike Claiborne. I'm Joe Roderick. This has been Lunch with Claibs and Joe here on claibsonline.com.
St. Louis Acura is celebrating 35 years with Acura, so we're giving you some unprecedented offers, like the all-new 2022 Acura MDX. Get 1.9% financing for up to 60 months and $1,000 in loyalty and conquest offers. Or get 0% financing on the redesigned 2021 TLX for up to 60 months and $2,500 in loyalty conquest offers. St. Louis Acura, committed to becoming better than ever for you.